My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. We absolutely crushed UFC London. We did all the things, and we did it very successfully. So let's go ahead and take that success and move it on over to UFC 291. I'm going to break down this entire card. I'm going to give you my picks, my predictions, and my bets. And if we take a closer look at UFC London, I hit my bets and I'm up money. Jacob hit his bets, he's up money. Jacob's underdog lock of the week, Paul Craig, he won at plus 190. The prize picks plays we gave you hit. The underdog fantasy plays we gave you hit. And so did the premium member safety parlay. That's 2 events in a row for the premium member safety parlay. You'd be up over about 1.5 units if the only thing you ever did was copy that safety parlay just in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks, not 2 months, 2 weeks. And it is hitting at a 68% clip. That is a parlay for premium members only, week in and week out. And premium members did really well this week. Here's a look at some of the tickets that premium members have shared with us. They're up over $27,000. We have had $27,000 in tickets from premium members shared to us, DM'd to us, shown to us. Hey guys, I'm a premium member. Look what I did. Thank you. And the list just keeps going. This is just a few of the tickets. People just absolutely crushed that card. We have the sharpest community in this space. I'm very proud of the community that we built. I'm very proud of the premium member product. If you're not a premium member, sign up now. It's only $10 a month. A month. I'm showing you $27,000 in tickets from premium members for one night. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. You're going to unlock all the picks, all the bets, but also tools. It's not just copy-paste bets. There are so many tools and so much insight and information to help you find your own spots that it's absolutely incredible. One of those tools is the line movement tracker. We're going to give you opening odds, current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every single fight and every single fighter on every card every single week. This card is interesting. Only one fighter has flipped from an underdog to a favorite. We have 2 different fighters that have had 20% line movement or more. We're going to keep an eye on that. This obviously gets updated every single day with the movement of the day. And as the week goes on, these lines get a little more dramatic. People start to dig in. People start to find their spots. The public money starts to move some of these lines. So keep an eye on that. You will get that with premium membership, as you will the detailed data, metrics, and analytics. It's a 38-column spreadsheet of detailed data, metrics, and analytics. There's all conditional formatting to help you work your way across green, red, find your spots, help reinforce your thoughts, your opinions, and hopefully help you avoid some landmines as well. This and everything else is available for premium members, only $10 a month. We also give everybody who goes to WeWantPicks.com/bets $50. Well, you got to use a link, sign up with one of our partners, then we give you $50. It's affiliate marketing. So if you go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, use our link to sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, we send you $50 as a thank you. I literally pay out thousands of dollars a week, and it's just a great way for us to show support to you. Obviously, you're going to use the link, you're going to get an account, they'll give you a deposit match, I'm going to get paid, and then I'm going to say, you know what, thank you guys for supporting us, here's $50. So just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit, I'll send you those $50. Let's break down this card. UFC 291 is a very good card. It's not an amazing card, but it's a very good card. It's a fun pay-per-view. I'm going to be happy to spend the money, but there are only 12 fights. So finding our spots a little trickier on this card than it was UFC London, but I think I found some. And we're going to open up this card with Matt Semelsberger taking on Uros Medic. Matt Semelsberger is an aggressive striker. He marches forward. He's got solid leg kicks. He works the body well. He has plenty of power in both of his hands. He has 9 knockdowns in 8 UFC fights. The marching forward can wilt some people who really don't like that pressure, but it also gets him in trouble at times. He is coming off that loss to Jeremiah Wells, where despite getting 2 knockdowns, he had Jeremiah Wells down and out twice in that fight. He was still taken down 6 times, and he just could not handle that grappling pressure or the control from Jeremiah. He's taking on Uros Medic. This guy is a clean technical striker. He comes out fast and loose with a 100% finish rate in his 8 wins. He has speed. He's got power. He's got a legit killer instinct as well. When he smells blood, he absolutely goes for broke. His takedown defense sits at 66%, but it is a pretty small sample size, so it's hard to take that number too serious. He's coming off that knockout win over Omar Morales, where he had 2 knockdowns before he ultimately got that finish. And this is a tricky fight, right? Both of these guys are tough strikers. Both of them have power. Semelsberger likely has a little more power and definitely has the grappling advantage, but but Uros is going to be the far better striker just as far as straight up technique is concerned. And if you give Uros Medic time to work, if you give him the space he needs, he's absolutely going to light you up. The pick is going to be Semelsberger because he should have enough chin to weather whatever storm comes his way, and then he can work in grappling. But if he comes in sloppy or if he gives Uros too much space to work, he's going to get pieced apart. He's going to get stopped. So if you trust Semelsberger to close the gap, to drag this into the later rounds, then he honestly should be easy money at -150. I already threw a half a unit on that. I do think he's going to work in the grappling. I think he will weather that storm. Uros Medic is an absolute technician on his feet, but Matt Semelsberger has the chin and hopefully has the wherewithal to say, yeah, I'm not going to go strike for strike with this guy. Let me go ahead and dive at some legs. Half a unit, -150. Then we have Miranda Maverick stepping up on short notice. She's taking on Priscila Cachoeira. Miranda Maverick is a pressure fighter. She's got solid takedowns, decent activity. She's very strong. She uses her strength well. She averages a little more than 2 takedowns per fight, but when she can't get takedowns, she struggles. She does have a positive striking differential of about 4-3, but it's not pretty. It's not, the striking's a bit, and her goal is typically, let me just work forward, get the takedown. She's coming off that loss to Jasmine where she just could not handle Jasmine's pressure. She's taking on Priscila Cachoeira. Priscila is a powerful striker. She's got heavy pressure. She throws big punches. She does have okay takedown defense at 65% and a low takedown accuracy of 33%. She has very real power for the division, but can be knockout or bust. If you look at the stats, you're going to notice Priscilla's striking differential is about 4-7, which means for every 4 significant strikes she lands, she is blasted in the face 7 times. She was absolutely dominated on her feet when her opponents essentially double her strikes in total. Like, she gets dominated on her feet in most of these fights. She's come forward. She's got that big power. But outside of that big power, she's just an absolute punching bag of a person. But she's insanely tough, and she is coming off that first-round KO win over Ariana Lipski. This is another wild Miranda Maverick spot. She's -315 on the books right now. And I fully recognize that Miranda is good, as I did in her last fight, right? We picked against her, and the world went crazy when we said Jasmine Jasudavicius is going to beat Miranda Maverick. People literally were throwing temper tantrums on Twitter that we had the nuts to say that and tag Miranda in the video. The reality is Miranda is a good fighter, but she has a very specific style of fight. She doesn't fight well backing up, and she doesn't do well if you can take her down. This is not that fight, though. Priscilla's probably going to back her up. She comes forward with the strikes, but Miranda should be able to get the takedown. She should be able to come forward, work in the takedowns, grit out whatever nonsense striking comes her way, and then go from there. So I'm not going to back Miranda with my money here because it is sketchy. It is short notice. She is coming off of that loss to Jasmine Jasudavicius. It's hard to know what happens to somebody's psyche after a big loss like that. She was a 4-1 favorite in that fight and just got bodied. Showed no signs of life in that fight. Priscila is tough. Priscila is gritty. She's not the better fighter, though. Miranda Maverick is the better fighter here. Miranda should win. Super low confidence in that pick. I'm spending absolutely no money on this, and you shouldn't either. -315 is crazy. She just took your money from you if you spent it on her at -400, -380, whatever the hell she was in that last fight. But I do think Miranda wins this fight, but I'm doing absolutely nothing with that information. And we have the return of Jake Matthews. He's taking on Darrius Flowers. Jake Matthews is a pretty well-rounded guy. He's got solid wrestling, very good grappling, and a nice variety of strikes. He works angles well, and he has no problem mixing up body shots and then head shots. He's averaging almost 2 takedowns per fight. He has a solid striking differential of 3-2, and he has very real power in his hands. He's coming off that embarrassing loss to Matt Semelsberger, where he was dropped 3 times, taken down 3 times, and he just looked completely out of sorts, and he was a big favorite going into that fight. He's taking on Darrius Flowers. Darrius Flowers is stepping up on short notice. We don't have odds for this fight just yet. It is brand new to the world as of like 3 days ago, but he's sort of an in-your-face fighter. He has a high, tight guard, and he uses that to march forward, and he just bombs away. He's going to throw heavy punches, and then he's going to work in big slam-style takedowns. He is incredibly dangerous, but he can also be a little sloppy because he chases and he works so fast. His tape makes him look like a wild man on his feet who likes slam takedowns, which is also true, but he's got some solid BJJ as well, and he uses that when the pace slows. So he's going to come out hot like a fireball, swing and pick and slam and dump and doing all the things. And once that pace settles down a little bit, then he'll settle in to a grappling rhythm. Again, he's stepping up on short notice. And while that normally is a recipe for disaster, it's not exactly like Jake Matthews looked like a world beater in his last fight. Darrius could come in with that big power, get a big takedown, and have early success with Jake weathering that storm and then having late success. So we're either going to get a Darrius monsoon to win this fight early, or Jake weathering the storm, taking over, and then grinding out a win from there. I do think Jake is going to win this fight because despite the horror show that his last fight was, he actually is incredibly tough. I mentioned he was dropped 3 times by Jake Matthews and still gutted it out. So even though he wasn't there, like as far as technique was concerned, he was there physically, he was there mentally, he didn't quit on himself, he stayed tough. He's not a PUSSY. He's a pretty tough guy. So I do think Jake Matthews gets the win. We'll see what these odds are. If we get some recency bias here and people look at his last fight and think, oh, this guy, if we get anything under, let's say, he's probably going to open at minus 500. I'm sure it's going to be something stupid like that. But if we get a deal, I'm probably going to throw some money on Jake Matthews when those odds drop. If you're a premium member, make sure you have linked your Discord to your premium account because I'm promising you we are monitoring these odds the very second they drop. If there's something to happen, we're going to hammer it immediately and you'll get the alert on your phone instantly. If you like it, great. If you don't, no big deal, but at least you were alerted before the line takes off. WeWantPicks.com, click become a member if you're not, and if you already are a member, go to your account page, click link Discord, and it'll go ahead and sync everything up so you can get the alerts to your phone. Then we have CJ Vergara taking on Vinicius Salvador. I love CJ Vergara. This guy's a ton of fun to watch. He's a high-pressure striker. He's got solid forward motion. He has clean boxing, solid knees. He likes to fight inside the pocket where he can use that clinch work and showcase some power. He has a never-say-die attitude, and while he has no recorded takedowns in the UFC, his BJJ is solid, and so are his scramble skills. He's coming off that win over Daniel Lacerda where he was dropped twice, somehow survived a 10-8 first round, and then got a finish in the second. He's taking on Vinicius Salvador. This guy is a long, rangy striker who has incredible volume, solid accuracy, and what he thinks is Roy Jones Jr. defense. He's got a negative striking differential, but he will keep his hands low and do that bob and weave and try to work his way out of exchanges. He's durable. He does have some heavy, real power in both of his hands and his feet. His takedown defense is not great, but he does use his length on bottom to throw things up, create scrambles, and then work back to his feet. He's coming off that loss to Victor Altamirano where he was a step behind pretty much everywhere. CJ Vergara, in his last fight, this guy walked so Chelsea Chandler could run. And if you don't get that joke, CJ Vergara, in his last fight, literally ran, turned his back and ran around that octagon to survive, probably for like 15 seconds. Nobody cared because he came out, he won the second round. Chelsea Chandler runs from one side of the cage to the other for 4 seconds, and she's the meme of the century. So, sucks for Chelsea, but CJ Vergara just did that exact same shit. The exact same shit, to an extreme. But unlike Chelsea, I mentioned CJ won that fight. And the biggest takeaway from that was just how tough he actually is. I think he's as close to a lock as you're going to get. We know he has an incredible chin if he gets caught. He should have the better pressure, equal or better power, and solid enough takedown defense to stand up. So I like CJ here. I'm probably going to end up spending some money on him. I'm just monitoring. The line's been a little weird. I'm just monitoring the line movement tracker to see if I'm going to get some value, if it's going to head that direction, if it's going to tighten, or if it's going to widen. If it starts to widen, I'm going to hit it before it gets too far. If it starts to tighten, I'm obviously just going to keep an eye on it and find my spot. But very confident in CJ Vergara here. Then we have a very good striker in Roman Kopylov taking on a very fun fighter in Claudio Ribeiro. Roman Kopylov is a very good kickboxer. He's got professional experience before he transitioned to MMA. He picks his shots really well. He tends to throw one strike at a time, but then he settles in and he weaves together really nice combinations. He started his career with 2 losses. He was taken down in both of them. He had absolutely no answer on the ground. None. He had no ability to work back up. No jiu-jitsu. He had nothing to offer after he was taken down. But then he started to put things together and he started to find his own rhythm, and his striking is legit good. He's got very real power. He's coming off that win over Punahil Soriano where it was clear that Roman Kopylov will beat 90% of the division that will actually strike with him. He's taking on Claudio Ribeiro. Claudio Ribeiro is an insanely powerful striker who can put you out with both hands while marching forward and just bombing away. He has almost no regard for what comes back, and he doesn't worry about takedowns. He does have professional boxing experience, and it does show in some of these exchanges. The easy path is to take him down, but he does have excellent hips. He works his way back to his feet pretty quickly, so it's not the easiest thing in the world to take him down. He is coming off that sloppy win over Joseph Holmes, where he just started wrestling but shouldn't have. And this is a straight-up kickboxing match, or if this is a straight-up kickboxing match, Roman would light up Claudio. It wouldn't even be close. Roman striking, I'm not giving it enough credit, and I'm giving it a ton of credit. His pure, raw striking is some of the best in this division. The problem is, he's at minus 240 right now, and this isn't a kickboxing match. This is an MMA match, and as I mentioned, Roman started his UFC career with 2 fights that he had no idea what to do after getting taken down. And this is an MMA fight. Claudio Ribeiro, in his last fight, was dominating Joseph Holmes and then started wrestling for no reason whatsoever. He should not have been wrestling in that fight, but he started to wrestle in that fight. And that's actually what worries me. If he started wrestling in a fight where he was dominating the grappling or the striking, he's probably going to start wrestling in this fight. And I don't want him to, because I want Roman to light him up. I want Roman to win here. It's just so tricky. These odds are insane. Minus 240 is nuts for a guy that has absolutely nothing to offer on the ground. But Claudio Ribeiro showed some low fight IQ in his last fight, and if he was making poor decisions and choosing to grapple when he shouldn't have, maybe we'll get lucky enough for him to make some poor decisions and not grapple when he should. I'm going to pick Roman Kopylov here because he's going to be light years ahead in the striking department. Hopefully his takedown defense holds up, but I'm not betting this fight. This feels like a trap. Minus 240 on a guy that is, while phenomenal in his one dimension, he's somewhat one-dimensional. So Roman Kopylov is the pick. I'm going to avoid parlays and things like that with him. Maybe when the prop bets drop on Friday, the significant strike prop bets, we'll see what those odds are. Roman to land more significant strikes is probably a lock, because while the volume is about equal, it won't be equal if they're exchanging, right? Roman's striking defense should be able to avoid what's coming and then land when he needs to land. So Roman's the pick, but super low confidence, and the grappling is what scares me. Then we have a very interesting fight. A lot of people are going to jump to conclusions on this fight. Let's go ahead and break it down. We have Trevin Giles taking on Gabriel Bonfim. Trevin Giles is insanely athletic. Normally I do this and I say, this guy's a striker. This guy's a... No, Trevin Giles is an athlete. And that's where we're going to start, because he does everything well. He has an incredible jab, probably the best jab in this division. He's light on his feet. He does a nice job of working in and out of range. He's going to throw combinations, step out of that range, reset, and then start over. And I don't care what these stats say. His wrestling offense is not very good, but he does have solid takedown defense at 73%. He has great scramble skills. He can work his way back to his feet very, very nicely. He sets a good pace. He pumps out his jab really well. He is coming off that close win over Preston Parsons, where his jab was absolutely incredible. His takedown defense was incredible. And even though he was dropped in the first round, he toughed it out and he showcased some slick BJJ and his scrambles. His athleticism and his jab got him through that fight, and it probably gets him through most fights. He's taking on Gabriel Bonfim. This guy's a solid striker. He does have some real-life boxing credentials behind him as well. And then he's got that solid BJJ to round him out. He is a well-rounded guy. He's more patient than his brother. We just watched his brother get smoked. He's more patient than his brother, and he's more aggressive with his takedowns. When he gets it to the ground, he's methodical with his control, and he works to positions first, then submissions. He's coming off that UFC debut win over Munir Lazez, where his speed and power were impressive. A lot of people are going to see that Gabriel's brother, Ishmael, just ended up losing. It was pretty obvious that he was overhyped a little too early, and they're just immediately going to apply that logic to Gabriel. Oh, the Bonfim brothers, they're both overrated. They're a hack. Oh, what the hell do you kids say now? What is it? Not chin checked. I don't know. Record checked. It's some. Tell me in the comments. It's something like that. It's like the new thing I see people. I'm acting like I'm 85 years old. I'm 40. But there's some new, I see it all the time, something checked. Let me know in the comment. It's not chin checked. It's not record checked. I don't know what the hell it is. You'll let me know in the comments, or I'll remember halfway through this video. Anyway, people are going to see Ishmael sucked in his last fight, so Gabriel's going to suck in this fight. I don't think that's the case. The reality is that Gabriel was always the better brother. He uses his grappling far more than Ishmael does. And in this case specifically, he has the easier opponent. Ishmael fought a grappling beast. Gabriel Bonfim is fighting Trevin Giles. While he's incredibly athletic and while he has a phenomenal jab and decent hips, Gabriel should be the better fighter everywhere. He's going to have the more powerful striking. He should have the better grappling. He should be better everywhere. So Gabriel's going to be the pick. I was hoping to put him in the safety parlay, right? Right off the bat, I'm like, yeah, this should happen. This should happen. I was gonna do Bobby Green and Gabriel Bonfim. And then I was like, this Trevin Giles can sneak out some of these random wins. That jab could just start to bloody up Gabriel's face. He could defend 1 or 2 takedowns, and the judges could see that and feel very differently than what's actually happening. So I do not have Gabriel Bonfim in the safety parlay, but I am pretty confident that he's going to get this win. What scares me is just that freaking jab. That Trevin Giles jab is absolutely incredible. He just pumps it. So anyway, Gabriel's the pick. He is better than his brother. And if you remember what the hell that term is, something checked. Fraud checked. His brother was fraud checked. I don't think he will be. I do think he gets the win. Then we have the Black Beast. We got Derrick Lewis taking on Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Quite the fall Derrick Lewis has had from grace. But by now we all know exactly who he is, and nothing has changed. The last 5 years, this guy has been the exact same fighter. He's got incredible power, but very low output. He can be taken down, but he literally just stands back up. He's a powerhouse who's never out of a fight, meaning at any moment, he could just knock you out cold. He's also never in a fight. There are no Derrick Lewis fights where he's piecing somebody up and then wins. It's usually he's getting pieced up and then he lands the big shot. That's typically a Derrick Lewis fight. He has the most knockouts ever in heavyweight history. We absolutely love him for that guy. The guy's super fun to watch. I love Derrick Lewis. He's just not going to win this fight. He's fighting Marcos de Lima. Marcos Rogerio de Lima is a big, powerful heavyweight. He's got striking, he's got grappling, he's got wrestling. He's not the fastest, most athletic guy in the division, but he can land heavy, he can get takedowns, he can work BJJ. He's coming off that win over the very athletic prospect Waldo Cortez, where he landed incredible leg kicks and he got the takedowns to get it done. And all of that is why Marcos Rogerio de Lima is a problem for Derrick Lewis, and he's going to win this fight. And listen, anytime someone fights Derrick Lewis, there is a very real possibility they're going to go to sleep. And it doesn't matter when. Derrick Lewis has more than one fight that he won in the 3rd round after getting smoked for 2.5 rounds before that. But I can't break down fights being like, this guy's going to get the shit kicked out of him and then land the big punch. Especially not at this point in Derrick Lewis's career. Marcos is literally better everywhere except raw power, obviously. Nobody has the power that Derrick Lewis has. But I'm very confident in Marcos to win. I have a 1-unit bet on him at -129. He is already at -190. Premium members, you saw that bet. You saw it early. Has it been a week, 5 days, a week, something like that? And that line has already taken off. That's why it's so important that you have your Discord linked to your premium membership account, because otherwise you gotta go to the website, check it out. Maybe you forget to check for a few days or you wait till Saturday. If you link your Discord, you'll get the alert to your phone. So it doesn't matter. You're out to dinner, you're hanging out, you get the bzz, bzz, you look at your phone. Oh, I do like that bet. Let me do it real quick. And then you place your bet. And you're good. You didn't miss the line. If you don't like it, you put your phone back down. You go eat, I don't know, fish sticks. What do people eat? I have no idea. Anyway, premium membership is only freaking $10 a month. It is the greatest value in this space, period, end of story. There's people selling their Patreons for 10, 20, 50, $100. And what's that? A list of 4 bets? Here's my 4 bets. I hope they win. Please tail. That's not what we do here. You're going to get my bets. You're going to get Jacob's bets. That's what we're doing with our money. But you're also going to get the tools. You're going to get the insight, the data, the information, the parlay, the safety parlay, the DraftKings optimizer, the DraftKings announce. There's so much shit you're going to get for that $10. It's not even close. And that is our business model. Volume. We have well over 2,000 premium members. And that's because $10 is the best value in this space. I'm creating a world where nobody can sell anything because I'm selling this for $10 a month. Sorry for the spiel. I know some of you hate the spiel, but the reality is it's been wildly successful. It's because I continue to bring it up. I highlight the success. So I appreciate every single one of you that have signed up, and I continue to add on to it and add more features and make it better. We on Picks.com, it's only $10 a month, and shit, Even if you don't bet, it's just a nice way to show some support. Then we have one of my favorite fighters of all time, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, taking on Michel Pereira. Wonderboy, I love the guy. How could you not? First of all, his fighting style is awesome. He's always in fun fights. And I'm pretty sure he's like the nicest guy in the world. Never met him, but there's not one single video clip of this guy not being awesome. So he'd be quite the farce if he was a douchebag behind the scenes. Anyway, Wonderboy's got that karate style striking, and it works really well for him. He has those low hands, that wide base. He bounces in and out. He comes in, he'll crack you, light you up, and then he'll bounce right out. He's not a power guy, but he will wear you down, beat you up. His footwork, his movement are very impressive, and it catches people off guard. He has wins over Robert Whittaker, Jorge Masvidal, Johnny Hendricks, Vicente Luque, and he only has 2 losses in the past 4 years, and both of them were to grapplers, were to people who just took him down over and over and over and wet blanketed him. He's taking on Michel Pereira. First of all, dude's 29 years old. I thought Michel Pereira was 35. He's 29 years old, and every single time I do one of his breakdowns, I forget how young he is until I make this graph, and I go, Jesus Christ, look how young this guy is. Anyway, he started his career. He's a capoeira fighter, that Brazilian dance fighting. He started his career with wild, flashy kicks, big spins, big punches. But he's maturing. He's tightening it up. If you've been following his career, you definitely have seen that maturation as a fighter. He's unbelievably talented. He still has a touch of crazy, right? He'll still do a couple of wild things in there, but now he's got some cardio. The crazy doesn't define him anymore, and he's been able to get himself a nice 5-fight win streak with 4 decisions in a row. And I actually like to see when fighters are working through decisions because it shows they have the cardio. It shows they have the mental fortitude. You know, it's easy if you're the hammer and you're getting the knockouts quick. It's hard to continue to be a hammer for 15 full minutes. But I will say, as much as I love Wonderboy, the 2-1 odds make sense on paper, but they are a little worrisome. Right now, Wonderboy is a 2-1 favorite. He's 40 years old, and even though he is coming off that dominant win over Kevin Holland, we cannot forget Kevin Holland broke his hand in that fight, and he still had some success landing with a broken hand, and he got a takedown. And as much as I love Wonderboy, I think we can admit that he struggles with wrestling, and while Michel Pereira hasn't won himself an NCAA title, he still has 11 takedowns in 8 UFC fights, and Wonderboy should win, right? I do think Wonderboy should win. That in-and-out style, the striking defense, the pop go, that should be able to be enough. He's got fight IQ through the roof, and while he is 40, he hasn't really looked old. But I didn't think that Holly Holm looked old either until she got into that last fight, and she looked old fast. So I think Wonderboy can probably win this fight because the striking, I think, is just a big gap in the striking. But Michel Pereira, 11 years younger, has the ability to get takedowns, has power, has all the things. Michel Pereira is the smarter money side. I haven't bet on him just yet, but I probably should. What I hate doing is thinking somebody wins and then betting the other side. I'm not one of those guys. I know that's like a whole huge betting strategy where it's like, oh, this should be close, so let me get the underdog. I hate betting on somebody who I think loses. It just goes against how my brain is wired. I think this guy loses, so let me put money on it because it might hit. The only time I've ever done that is when it's like plus 600, plus 800 odds. I totally get that that's a legitimate betting style. Just my own brain has a hard time just putting money on somebody I think loses, but maybe I should do it because Michel Pereira, the tools are there. The tools are there. So let me know in the comments what you think. I know people love that style. People just hunt for underdogs every single week, regardless of how they feel the fight will go. But let me know. I'm curious about people's thoughts, and maybe that'll sway me to put a couple of bucks on Michel Pereira. But you people also swayed me to throw Molly McCann in a parlay. I didn't have it. And then you guys were like, look at this value, look at this value. And then I did it. Jesus Christ, Molly McCann fucking sucks. So thanks for that. Then we have Michael Chiesa taking on Kevin Holland. Michael Chiesa had supposed to fight a month ago. Fight was canceled. Now he's back on a card. He's a grappler. He's pretty one-dimensional. He's got just a very unbelievably straightforward mid-2000s game plan. Come forward, look for a takedown, and work from there. He does not have a versatile set of takedowns, but the few that he has, like body locks, those do work well. Once he's on top, he's got solid pressure, and he can alternate between ground and pound and submissions. He's coming off 2 losses in a row and a full year away. But they were very different losses. In the Luque fight, he was dominating, but then he got a little too excited, chased his submission, fell off, and he was subbed. In the last loss, Sean Brady took him down 5 times. Sean Brady beat him up pretty good the first 2 rounds, and then he had a nice rally in the third, but it just wasn't enough. He's taking on Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is an accurate and powerful striker. He does have a very low 50% takedown defense, but he's got solid grappling, solid jiu-jitsu. Other than the wrestling defense, Kevin is a killer. He's a sniper on his feet. He's got great accuracy, great range. He also can grapple really well and be a problem on the ground with his length. And just because it's easy to take him down, it doesn't necessarily mean that, let me take him down and I'll be good to go, right? He's coming off that bounce back win over Santiago Ponzinibbio where my notes on that were just fast, accurate. Those were my notes on that fight. I love Kevin in this spot. I get it. The takedown defense is mediocre at best. Chiesa has solid takedowns, but Chiesa's also hanging out at the desk, wearing the nice clothes, doing the commentary, and he's working on the next phase of his career, which is great for him, right? You can't fight forever, and unless you build a gym or get yourself behind the desk, there goes your income, right? So he's doing the right things, working in the commentating booth and building that part of his career. But that just means a little bit of the focus on the actual fighting is shifted. I imagine he doesn't have that same drive. I imagine he doesn't have the same time to put the effort in. He hasn't fought in almost 2 years. And I imagine he ultimately is just going to be diving at legs instantly. Hopefully he's going to miss one of those and just get touched up by Kevin. Kevin's the pick. I do have a half a unit on him at minus 145, but obviously the freaking takedown defense is going to stress me out. But I still think Kevin Holland's going to get it done. And it's a very unforgiving sport. And one guy's working out his career and the other one's trying to work up. So got to go with Kevin Holland in this spot. And then we have poor Tony. This is going to be Tony Ferguson's funeral. Poor Tony Ferguson. I don't mean that like, Bobby Green's such a killer, he's going to murder the guy. He has lost 5 in a row. He's taken some of the worst beatings in the last 3 years I've ever seen anybody take. For his own good, the UFC should have been like, you're done. Like, you're done. This is not... Like, he's going to go out like BJ Penn did. BJ Penn, all-time great. One of my favorite fighters ever. I've been watching this since UFC 1. And BJ Penn is an all-timer. And then he fought a little too long. And just kept going, just didn't have a great go-out. And the problem is fighting was his entire identity. Then he started drinking too much and fight. It's the exact same story here. But let's break this fight down anyway. We got Tony Ferguson. This guy's on a 5-fight losing streak. He hasn't won a fight since an eye injury to Donald Cerrone in 2019. In his prime, this guy was accurate. He was unorthodox. He was dangerous everywhere. He is tough as nails. He remains tough as nails to this day. And he has the mental fortitude of a Greek god. You cannot break this guy mentally. While he is coming off 2 stoppage losses in a row, he's durable, and he does have all the tools to pull off a wild late career upset here, especially because Bobby Green's last fight. He's taking on Bobby Green. Bobby Green is a very busy striker. He's got that showboat, hands at his waist kind of style. He's got great volume, incredible defense, slick wrestling if he needs it. He has 10 knockouts under his belt, but for the most part, he's not really a one-punch power knockout kind of guy, right? It's volume, it's activity over a few rounds. He has solid striking differential of better than 6-4 with a 72% takedown defense. He's coming off that no contest with Jared Gordon, where he actually did not look very good. You could argue he was losing the striking exchanges to Jared freaking Gordon. No disrespect to Jared Gordon, but Bobby Green is supposed to be this phenomenal boxer, and he was getting touched up. And then there was that accidental headbutt. He ended up knocking out Jared Gordon, but then they looked at the tape. They actually used instant replay exactly how it should be. The initial ruling in the cage was Bobby Green wins by KO. And then they looked at the footage and like, oh, okay, the headbutt is what started this exchange, so no contest. It was a testament to implementing instant replay for sure. You got to go Bobby Green here. Even though he did not look good in his last fight, you got to go Bobby Green here. He hasn't won it over a year. I get it. And yes, he was just knocked out cold in December by Drew Dober. All right, a couple of red flags. But Tony, he's just not Tony anymore. At one point, he was on a 12-fight win streak. People were talking about him beating Khabib, but a couple of incredibly hard-fought battles later, he's just a shell of himself. Justin Gaethje took Tony Ferguson out of his body. Tony Ferguson is a shell ever since that Justin Gaethje fight. Bobby should be able to stay busy, should be able to be more accurate. He should be able to avoid the damage, Bobby is a very confident pick here. I think a sneaky good bet is going to be over 1.5, though. If we're lucky enough to get a 1.5 round line, I think the over 1.5 here should be solid. Bobby Green's not a one-punch guy. Tony Ferguson is a shell of himself. But, I mean, I'm unbelievably confident in Bobby Green here. Yes, he's very good, but mostly because of his opponent. Then we have the co-main event of the evening. This is actually a phenomenal co-main event. I actually wish they would throw, not that it matters, I don't think it's going to go to a decision anyway, but I actually wish they would throw the now vacant light heavyweight title and say, yeah, F it. This is for a title. But anyway, we got Jan Blachowicz taking on Alex Pereira. Jan Blachowicz, former light heavyweight champion of the world. He has had a rocky couple of fights, though, since he lost that belt. Jan is a striker. He hits incredibly hard. He's got solid wrestling. We don't see that wrestling often, but we did see it on display when he beat Izzy with 3 takedowns. He's a well-rounded guy with a world of experience. He's 12-6-1 in the UFC with wins over Jared Cannonier, Jacare Souza, Luke Rockhold, and Izzy Adesanya. And I mentioned a rocky road since he lost his belt. And that's because his fight after losing that belt was a freak leg injury win over Alexander Rasik. And then a draw with Ankalaev in his last fight, where he looked really good in that fight. He got his leg kicks going. He made some stuff happen. He's taking on Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, we've broken this guy down a lot. This 7-2 record, I feel like all of those fights, 6 of those 7 fights were like in the last year. It's crazy how busy he has been in the UFC since the UFC was like, here's the plot line. Alex Pereira beat Izzy. He's the new boogeyman of the division. He's a high-level kickboxer who, as we all know, as I just mentioned, beat Israel Adesanya 3 times before losing, and he lost his rematch. It's weird to say rematch because he beat him twice in kickboxing. He lost his UFC rematch to Israel Adesanya earlier this year. He has moved up to light heavyweight here, and I don't expect him to be undersized. When Izzy fought Jan, Izzy was undersized. I don't think Alex Pereira is going to be undersized. He's a massive 6'4", and despite moving up, he'll have both the height and reach advantage in this fight. The clear path is to take him down, and while he does have a 73% takedown defense, he has been taken down 4 times. He's coming off that bad knockout loss to Israel Adesanya where he looked good early. He was touching up, hitting a rhythm, and then boom, was that guy caught. I mean, he out cold on that canvas. This is a great co-main event. A lot of moving parts here, right? Alex will be the more technical striker and could potentially have more raw power as well. We know he has 5-round experience, so we don't have to worry about his cardio, but we do need to worry about his chin and his takedown defense. He was just knocked out cold, out on the canvas 3 months ago, and now he's fighting another guy with just massive one-punch power. If I'm being totally honest, I do think Alex wins this fight, and I know everyone's going to talk about Jan's takedowns. I'm less worried about Jan's takedowns. I think Alex will be fine either defending the takedowns or working his baby back up. I'm not worried about Jan's takedowns. I am worried about Alex's chin. It doesn't just, he's 36 years old, and he was unconscious 3 months ago. It doesn't just like, he's not Wolverine. So the chin is the one and only thing that worries me. I do think Alex wins this fight, but I'm not doing anything with that. I mean, honestly, this is what's going to happen. I'm here saying Alex is going to win the fight. He's the much better, more technical striker, probably has more power. Jan's going to go in there, take him down, just maul. That's what's going to happen. Jan's going to win this fight and maul him, but I'm sticking to my guns. I'm going to stick to the pick. Alex Pereira is the pick. Scared money doesn't make money. This is scared money. I'm probably not going to make money on this fight. I will wait for the props to drop, and I'll take a look. We might get something creative in there. Most significant strikes landed, something like that. But for now, this is basically a 50-50 fight on the odds, as it should be. The far better striker, the better mixed martial artist, but he's also 40. There's so many things going on here. Mostly should be a striking match, and therefore Alex Pereira should win. Jan might get desperate with some takedowns, and that actually will help Alex. I actually prefer, being on the Alex side, I prefer if Jan tries to work in takedowns. Because then Alex can catch him on the way in. Alex can make him pay. Alex can tire him out and then headhunt. So, should be a really fun fight. That is a great main event. Main event. Speaking of main event, we have the rematch of Dustin Poirier taking on Justin Gaethje for the BMF belt. This is a rematch from 2018. They've evolved since then, so, it is what it is. But in 2018, Dustin Poirier got the stoppage win in the 4th round, and he did it with clean technical striking. Dustin Poirier is an excellent boxer. He's got high fight IQ. He's got a BJJ black belt. His striking is very, very clean. He keeps his distance well, and then he steps in with that long jab. You could argue he changed MMA. I've mentioned this before breaking him down, but I'm going to mention it again. You could literally argue that Dustin Poirier single-handedly changed striking in MMA because of that wild calf kick success that he had against Conor McGregor in their first fight. Everybody started copying it after that. You could actually go back even farther and then say that Jim Miller changed MMA with the calf kicks because Jim Miller lit up Dustin Poirier's calf. Dustin Poirier took note of that and then used that on Conor McGregor. And then everybody's like, holy shit, why are we kicking the leg? We should be kicking the calf. And then UFC just became a calf kicking competition for 2 full years. It seems to have sort of died down a little bit, but Dustin Poirier, let's give him that credit for doing what he did there. Literally changed the sport for at least a year or two. But while Dustin has that great calf kick, and while he can work in takedowns, you'll see he's averaging 1.39 in 15 minutes. His takedown accuracy is a pretty low 36%. He is coming off that war, though, with Michael Chandler, where he capitalized on a late Michael Chandler mistake to pull out the submission win. He's taking on Justin Gaethje. This guy is a wrestler, a college wrestler who went 10 fights in the UFC without a single takedown attempt. He finally just got one in his last fight. He is a striker in style. He's got power. He's got volume. Pretty much every single strike he throws is a significant strike. Hence, you'll see the more than 7 significant strikes landed per minute. Unfortunately, he is hit with just as much, and he actually has a negative striking differential. He marches forward. He throws heavy. He will stay in your face. He loves ugly fights, and he thrives in the chaos. He's coming off the incredibly close win over Fiziev, where the reality was a cut and a late takedown is what squeaked out a win for him. This fight is for the BMF belt, the bad mother belt. And that was an awesome idea when it was Nate Diaz and George Masvidal. But we have 2 of the nicest guys in this sport. I mean, you might as well have Wonder Boy in here fighting for the BMF belt. These guys put on such a show in their first fight. They're both very exciting guys. They're credentialed. Anybody who was going to order this pay-per-view was going to order this pay-per-view whether there's a fake belt or not. We don't need a gimmick for this fight. I actually wish they would just either let the BMF thing die with George Masvidal or bring it back when you actually get a couple of, like, assholes. But these guys are waiting. Justin Gaethje straight up looks like a nerd that drinks Mountain Dew and plays World of Warcraft for 15 hours straight. And that's not an insult. I think that's who he is as a person, and he loves it. So the BMF belt thing's a little cheesy, but I know the UFC wants to headline everything with a belt, so they need something. The Rock, sorry for the tangent. The Rock brought the belt out last time. Who the hell's going to put the belt on one of these guys? I guess we'll see. I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't, I'm not going to not order the fight. I'm not angry at the BMF belt. I don't know. Felt like we didn't need the gimmick for such a really good fight here. And the reality is, the first fight was 5 years ago. And while they both have evolved, they've both gotten better. I think they've both gotten better at the exact same pace. I don't think one of them is like exponentially excelled and the other one hasn't. I think they've gotten better at the exact same pace. So I think it's going to be more the same here. Justin is tough. He's dangerous. Poirier is going to be technical. And I think he's going to outpoint for the win, just like he did last time. I don't think this is a TKO. I think it goes 5 full rounds. And I think it's going to be Dustin just touching up Justin. Dustin beating Justin. Poirier beating Gaethje. I think it's more of the same from the first without the finish. I think technical striking, lots of working around. Technical striking, lots of working around. But if Justin Gaethje has now activated his wrestling mode since he got 1 takedown in 10 fights, if he has now 11 fights, if he has now activated the wrestling mode, that could change the dynamics of this entire fight. Dustin will have better BJJ, but so did Andre Muniz and had that work out for him. BJJ only gets you so far, right? He'll probably use it to scramble, get back to his feet. I'm going to pick Dustin here, but this should be a banger. This should be a ton of fun. And if Justin Gaethje works in the occasional takedown, then he could have some success here as well. I'm very excited for this fight, as should you. Guys, I want to give you $50. And the reason I want to give you $50 is because they're going to give me money. If you go to WeWantPicks.com/bets and you use our links to sign up with any one of our betting partners, they're going to pay me money, affiliate money, to say thank you. And then I'm going to break off some of that money and give it right back to you. The reality is we're doing well because of you. So if I have to dip into our cut of it all to take care of you, that's exactly what we're going to do. Plus, it encourages you to sign up. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the link, sign up, make a deposit, and I will send you $50. I'll PayPal it, Venmo it, or Cash App. You can use that $50 to become a premium member. Premium membership is far more than, oh, let me just copy some bets and be lazy and I don't have to do anything. Yeah, you can do that. But the reality is you're also going to get tools, insight, information. You get the line movement tracker, opening odds, current odds, win probability, and line movement for every single fight on the card. Every single fight on the card. There's not a tool like this anywhere else. You can go to websites that have odds everywhere. What they don't have is those odds stacked up against each other with the line movement, the current odds, the opening odds, and the win probability. You're going to unlock detailed data, metrics, and analytics. Everything you could ever want in 38 columns to work your way through, sort, interact with it, find your spots. Maybe you're like, hey, man, I know Tony Ferguson is old as shit, but I feel like he can get it. And then boom, here's the stats. Actually, if I did, use it as a tool to reinforce your position or maybe scare you away from some potentially bad bets. This and everything else that I haven't mentioned is available, including courses. A lot of people come here, they watch this. You know where I get the comment the most? People will watch my DraftKings video. It is for DraftKings Fantasy. But there's a lot of new people in the MMA betting world, right? It's becoming legal in new states, and people are like, hey, I love this sport. Let me bet on it, which is why we're growing and everything's growing. And they're going to watch the DraftKings Fantasy video and say, what the hell are these numbers? And I got about 6 of those comments this past week. What is this $9,600? I don't know. Can you just talk in odds? That is DraftKings Fantasy. And if you want to learn more about that, we have a whole course, a beginner's guide to DraftKings Fantasy. It's going to walk you through what it is, how to play, why it's fun, how much money you should spend, how to build your lineup, and do all of those things. Again, available for premium members. It's not just myself. It's actually myself, Jacob, who has his own video, and then Artem breaking down all the cards, not just UFC. You're going to get Cage Warriors, LFA, Bellator, and then Pick Doctor. Pick Doctor is building an AI for us that is picking fights. It's not built yet. It's a beta, but you can follow the journey, read the articles, check that all out. Everything I've mentioned and everything I haven't mentioned because I'm just sick of talking at this point is available for only $10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. Just click become a member.